Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. My name is Achala Simon. This is the Western Spectrum coming to you live from Kisumu County. And today, as is usually the case, we are discussing issues that affect the region and, of course, to a larger extent, the country at large. And, of course, the topical issue as we speak today is a school unrest. And for the last couple of weeks, tens of schools have gone on a strike for various reasons. Of course, the most tragic one being that Utumishi Academy incident where we lost close to 16 students in that institution. Of course, where death is involved, then involved line officials and, of course, all Kenyans will be disturbed. And that is why today we are discussing this matter to try and understand exactly what is happening in school and what can actually be done. Who is to blame? Where did the rain start beating us? On panel today, we have Millicent Otieno, local Peace Capacity International, who's been dealing with matters peace in this region from the basic level, that is the households all the way to the villages, and of course ensuring that the region stays or coexists peacefully. But also on set we have Dorcas Kitoto, a former principal who has actually engaged these issues over and over again. Today they will be helping us traverse this murky field that is school unrest and how well we can actually go about in terms of ensuring that indeed we bring to a stop this menace that is clearly catching up with each and every institution in this country. Welcome, Millicent.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers. It's a pleasure to be on set today.
This is not a very unfamiliar situation for you because you've been a principal and quite often you've actually dealt with students going in discipline in some of your students. How well or what exactly is actually bringing this issue?
Good morning, Kenya. First of all, allow me to appreciate this opportunity. Now, I choose to look at it perhaps differently in the sense that as we share blame or apportion blame, first of all, allow me to begin by saying that everybody is to blame. We are all in this, and we cannot keep pointing fingers. But I want to go back to the baseline ground, where the learner comes from. Because they are not born and immediately they enter school, no. The first few years of their lives, they are with the teacher one. So even as we point fingers at the teachers in the classroom, I want us to begin by looking at teacher number one, and that is the parent. The role of the parent. Because going forward, if we blame teacher 2, 3, 4 and ignore teacher 1, then we are actually saying teacher 1 is absolving himself from the problem. Now, once a child is born, and I choose to look at them as individuals, not as a group. We cannot lump them together and say, let us close schools, let us close all boarding schools. That is not a thing. But if we fail to look at the grassroots and find out where the problem is and address them gradually, because this cannot be a one-off thing. So I choose to look at it from that point of view as we begin.
Yes.
When the child is born, the nurturing.
Which is very key. Listen, and that is where you come in, because you've been very active in terms of ensuring that one family units coexist peacefully, villages and of course regions coexist peacefully. Where did the rain start beating us, and how fast do we need to actually nip this thing in the bud so that then we don't experience what you're actually experiencing now?
Well, I want to concur with what Madam Dorcas has said. Number one, the rain started beating us when families failed to take their responsibilities seriously. We were so busy as parents chasing money, chasing other things, which are actually very important. And then we left the care and the nurture of our children to caregivers. And if they are not caregivers, we decided to take them to schools and expect the teachers to stop teaching the curriculum and instill discipline and teach our children. It is interesting that we have tuition, even baby class. You know, parents rarely find time. And by the way, it's not about blame. I think we need to have a very courageous conversations, serious discussions about our roles. I'm also a parent, and I look back and I see pitfalls, things that could have been done differently, and that's why we are here today. Because as long as we superficially instill discipline and then we blame it, there's no corporal punishment nowadays, that's why our children are going amok. It's not about that. It's about how our behavior in the home. Have we been talking to our children to instill a sense of accountability and responsibility? And if indeed we are saying that Kenya is a religious country, because you can say 80% Christian and then we have a number of Muslims, we are all religious in one way or another, and all religions actually speak peace, and they speak discipline, they speak order. And yes. So that's where I think we are going wrong. We are not instilling the right kind of discipline, and we have failed to do our job, but instead we are blaming others.
The argument has been that as parents, we have actually absconded our duty and actually given that responsibility to teachers, as a former principal has actually stated, right? But the question then that I beg to ask is that in our African traditions, in our African society, raising a child was a communal activity where Auntie Z, grandmother B, and of course neighbor C would actually take upon themselves in terms of ensuring that this child is raised in a proper manner. However, in the same breath, we want to abscond our duties of actually raising our children. However, we don't want those other people that are actually giving them responsibilities to actually go ahead and punish our children. Are we in a state where we want to have our cake and eat it at the same time?
And actually, maybe, okay, it's very interesting because things are evolving. And even the term punishment, we are being told you should say, reprimand or correct. But ultimately, it's a way of how should we be able to administer some sort of corrective measures and practices? Because it's not just an event. And I say practices because it's the way of life. How we were brought up, we can't bring up our children the same way we were brought up because of the exposure to so many things, including social media, that is affecting their behavior, affecting how they relate with each other. We have an overflow of information and a flood of sorts. But when it comes to training a child in the way that they should go, be it a godly way, in a way that, that is pleasing, that is cohesive, that then says I have to be responsible. If I take this action, there are consequences. And the crop we see today in our homes, they want to behave like they can do things without being held to account. And we have created this monster. Why? Because even your house manager, when they try to discipline the child, I'm not talking about spanking. Sometimes you hear they say with a stern voice, hey, don't do that. You're like, why are you shouting? Hey, why are you shouting at my child? And in front of the child. And so this child sees, I can actually do something wrong and my mother will protect me. So I can go and actually ban other people's children and lock the door and they die. And my mom and dad will come and say, release my child. They should not go through the penal code and the structure and the laws, because every country has a law. And I think once we choose to disregard the laws and the norms and the values that we should bring up our children with, then they end up in the hands of the penal code. And when they are there, it's not to say that their life has come to an end, but it is to say that we need to reflect and say, is it still possible to salvage the situation? And that's what we are looking at today. The unrest.
Salvaging the situation.
Yes.
Correct. Then it means that something must be done before we get to the penal code and, of course, salvaging the situation. What do we need to do in our institutions? What mechanisms do we need to put in place so that then, even as we handle these learners, we handle them in a manner that is molding them into what we want to become in future?
The reason why I was beginning with the home is deliberate.
Yes.
Because if we jump to the school before we take care of the home, we are skipping the gun.
Yes, Dorcas, we are skipping the gun. Yes. This problem is now right at your doorstep. we are no longer at home. These kids have actually been brought to school. How then, the question is that how then in institutions do we ensure that this problem is actually solved so that then they don't actually ban their fellow students in school?
You see, if we don't establish the problem and deal with it from the grassroots, even if we go to school, we are wasting time. So that's why I'm saying it has to be gradual. Because basically from my way of looking at it is that it's all boils down to an issue of relationship. How do you relate with your child? How will you relate with the teacher? How will the teachers relate with the learners? Something like that. But this has to begin from home. So we don't have to wait for fires to burn and then we put them off very fast and then go back to normal. No, that is where the problem is.
That has actually been raised by students themselves and of course some very high-ranking government officials has been the issue of negotiation and participation, dialogue with the students, right? That when certain activities are supposed to happen in school, then there's need for that dialoguing with the students and telling them that, okay, this is what we want to do. Are you in a position to actually do this thing, or we can actually now set it apart and then act on it later? I mean, as a former principal, are we trading on a very dangerous ground?
No, we are not. Times change.
Absolutely.
And if we are going to pretend we are going to take care of these children the way it was done to us. A lady told the mother the other day, don't feed my children the way you fed us. Look at that.
Yes.
There are certain aspects of life that we have to accept change. And all those parents who are advocating, everybody who is advocating for, reintroduce corporal punishment. Now, allow me to ask, if you have your child at home and you've been caning them at home, meaning you are presenting a learner to school who is already used to caning such that we do not need to cane them anymore. Is that the case? Do you cane them? Or you bring them to school then expect the teacher to do the caning on your behalf? No. So we have to embrace change. Not necessarily every, because we can't even sit down and say that we walked to school, now let the children walk. No. So there are elements that we will have to adopt as time goes by, depending on what we have on the table, and we think objectively about it. But this mass looking at our learners as a group and treating them as a group is not going to work, because one, a teacher entering a class with a lesson plan, what they have in that plan is, by the end of this lesson, the learner, not the learners, you have 100 of them in the class, you have 50, but you identify with the one. Did Millicent get what I said? Did Simon get my concept? Now, when it comes to this unrest, again, we must know so and so. That is why it's important for a parent to know their children, for a teacher to know their learners, even for an administrator to know their teachers. Then, I'm still going back to, how do you relate with them? Where you can even look at children in a class and tell, this one, the parents do not care. They have not talked. You have not said anything. You just enter class, look around and say, this one, the parent does not care. This one, but with the time you will confirm.
And get. Just on the point that you've actually pointed out, we want to blame teachers. We are also expecting so much from teachers. Yet at the same very note, we are actually using schools as a punishment. If a child stays in an urban area and they have started doing things that are not sit comfortable with us, nitakupeleka boarding wewe. So then it is actually done as a punishment rather than, giving this child an opportunity to learn, or actually telling them, I'm taking you to this institution so that then you can actually get the knowledge you're supposed to get, and of course become a better person in the future. Quite often, this is done as a punishment. Has it contributed immensely to what we're actually witnessing, that we're actually taking criminals from our houses to schools and expecting that teachers can actually work with those criminals in schools?
I think that is a very small percentage where parents say, I'll take you to boarding. Generally, boarding is the system we have here. That when you are through with this level, you proceed to this level, which is mostly boarding. Okay? So for me, that one I don't think I would buy. But that notwithstanding, it takes me back to where I started. I don't know. Let me tell you, there is no way we can discuss this even in a day and get where we want to get, because I will still take you back home. What the parents say back at home, not only about I will, as a punishment, go to boarding. No. Any other thing they say. How are you nurturing it? In the things that you say, the things that you do as a parent. Are we together?
Yeah.
The society. These children come up knowing, and they know you. And in fact, the innocent ones will share your stories with the teachers.
Yes.
Okay? So, there are things that your own children will say. I will give an example of a Form 3 girl telling the father. And the father is trying to tell her to keep off boys. And then she says, ni wewe ndio ulianza umalaya kwa hii nyumba. That is a girl telling the father. Now tell me as a father, what do you say? Because they see you.
Yes.
One thing no parent should imagine that they don't see you and not. For even when they're still young. Yes. And the ones that are coming after these Gen Zs are even going to be worse for lack of a better word. Yes.
Your rallying call from the very basic level of the community has been that, one, we don't have role models. Yes. In terms of one, preaching peace, but also just upholding that moral standards that we actually want in our community. That, of course, speaks to what Dorcas is saying, that a child is looking at the father, or a child is looking at the mother, and what the mother is actually telling the child, or what the father is actually telling the child, is actually in contradiction to what they're actually doing. Is it something that actually needs to be dealt with decisively, including our political class?
Absolutely. I think number one, from the peace angle, the danger of a single story, you're telling the story from one angle and forgetting that there could be so many other dimensions to the story. And if you miss those other elements, you're most likely to get it wrong or to be fixed on one narrative without a counter narrative. And I want to really echo what she said. If you are telling the child this, but your actions speak differently. You are telling them, drink water, and you are drinking wine. And you are bringing wine at home and you are telling them, don't take alcohol, and the alcohol is left in the house. You step out, they will sneak. They will drink that alcohol. Before you know it, you have an alcoholic or an addicted person in your house. And then you start saying, oh, you are hanging out with bad friends. But this character was actually built in the home. I think I want us as parents, including me, to start taking responsibility and say, what do we need to do different? Because the institutions will not change unless and until we change ourselves and start doing things differently. When the child sees you going to church and only on Sunday or Saturday or Friday, but then the rest of the week you are busy doing cocaine or weed or whatever, because we have the problem of weed. People are saying the children, the unrest is because of narcotics and because of alcoholism and all sorts of addiction, including addiction to pornography and technology that is now spreading in the schools. And I want to say this, that we need now to really engage from the household level. I have boys and I've been trying to engage. It's not perfect, but I'm saying we cannot give up to engage and help our children to understand that they can participate in decision making. If they do not participate in the decision making, then they blame us. They say, but you are the one who told me to do 1, 2, 3. Number one. Number two, maybe in the reverse order, prayerfully govern and train your children from the household level. A parent that prays with their children and teaches them the laws of the Lord, it will be possible for these children to also adhere and revere the laws of the land. Because there is always the higher being, there is a God. And when you are struggling, for example, the children now who are struggling psychologically, they have seen their colleagues dead. And they are saying, where do we turn? There are some things that are beyond human beings, and that is where we turn to the divine being the one we call God, the one I choose to call Nyasai, you know, then I say, yes, he has said now at this point you can depend on him. But I'm not just giving lip service. My character, my behavior should show that I'm also responsible, that I'm accountable. And if I'm caught, like for example, in the case of that father, if the daughter says, wewe ndio ulianza umalaya kwa hii bomba, what should that parent do? Should turn around. The Bible says in the book of 2 Chronicles 7:14 that if my people called by my name will come unto me, repent, turn away from their sin, and then they will plead with me, I will forgive their sins, I will heal their land. But there has to be a turning around. You as a parent, you don't want to turn around, you expect your child to turn around. How now? It will not happen. So the discipline starts with the parents. And for you to instill that discipline, for you to give somebody peace, you must be peaceful yourself. You can't give what you don't have. And this country, we are suffering, our politicians, what we are seeing in the media, a lot of nonsensical speech, you know, things that you cannot even speak. Before we reached here, our leaders used to have decorum. That is why they were called honorable members. Nowadays, they're horrible members because the things that come from their mouths, and our children are watching. Our children are seeing. So you are telling them, don't abuse somebody, anasikia mtu anasema kumbafu wewe. They will pick it. It is not about what you tell them. It's about what they hear. It's about what they see. They walk it each day. And coming back to the issue of participation, because now under child protection, laws, and the Kenyan Constitution speaks very clearly, we need to know that the cases of pedophiles hanging around, incest is there, mistimed pregnancies are all over, and they're happening. They're happening in our homes. And what are we doing? We are silent about it. It's a silent killer. And so they move it from the home. They go with it to the school. When they go to the school, they see your child who you taught values behaving differently, and they pick on this child and they start bullying.
They become the mocking subject in
exactly. But what I wanted to say when I come to the issue of peace, the Bible says in the book of Matthew that blessed are the peacemakers. You have a responsibility to bring peace to yourself, to your family, and to the environment around you. And what we've been doing in the schools is to try to create a money clubs. But this is a minute component. It is something, yes, because their money club in the schools is supposed to inculcate the culture of peace and non-violence, that to teach the learners that you can actually have non-violent ways of solving issues, expressing yourself, and also dissenting peacefully. You get? So, again, gradually. If we pump them with a lot of nonsense, I'm saying nonsense because if they are destructive speech, immoral behaviors, and the social fabric is crumbling, and then we expect one institution, which is called the school, to take care of this, it will not. We need the health institutions to take care of this because of the mental wellness. We need also the academic institutions to take care of this. We need the religious institutions to play their part. We need every single responsible adult to stand up for what is right, do what is right, and speak what is right. We can save this country.
You are unfair to me because you have you are preaching side, but we'll discuss that off camera. Milson, the other issue I wanted to ask, and you've actually brought it subtly in your conversation, is the issue of monkey see, monkey do.
Monkey do.
Right. And media has actually been blamed to a greater extent to the fact that, one, there's unrest in this institution, we highlight it.
Yes.
There's another unrest in another institution, and it's actually projected all over the country, right? And what happens is that monkey see, monkey do. I saw on some of one of the social media handles, right? Students from Bungoma High saying, if Lenana can actually go on strike, yes, sisi ni kina nani jamani? Principal, do you feel that we actually, as media, we actually going overboard in terms of, highlighting what is happening? And if you were to advise us as a person in that space, right? If you were to advise us, how would you want us actually to cover these events so that then, one, we do not give a platform to students, yes, that can actually see what is happening, and then they say, si atu wameenda. And of course, it is actually boiling to an extent that now teachers actually opting to actually take their kids home and say, "Nyendeni tu nyumbani," until pressure cools down. While I was coming here, I just met students from Kisumu Boys, right? I understand that most of the students were actually supposed to go on a midterm around 20th of June. But now they're actually being left, told you and then to nyumbani, and then we'll see, so that things cool down and then you can actually come back. Are we doing a disservice to our institutions and in terms of just highlighting what is happening?
You are not balancing. Life is about balance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, when you focus on the fires and the strikes and the going home aspect of this, what is going on, and you ignore, remember there are schools that are quietly continuing with their studies as we speak.
Absolutely.
Courtesy of perhaps what is going on in the background. The teachers are now engaging more. They are communicating better, strengthening maybe even guidance and counseling.
Yes.
Why? Have you focused on those schools? Have you? No. So I think just bad news sells.
Absolutely.
And because you are in business, you are focusing on the bad news, on the bad news. So that is where I blame you.
Yeah.
But allow me to add something concerning where did the rain start beating us. That we must, as a society, begin to change the kind of questions we ask. This question of where did the rain start beating us is a cliche whose time I think is up completely. Because if it has been beating us and we're still standing in the rain, shouldn't we be asking, what can we do so that this rain stops beating us? And recommendations have been ignored. Yesterday I was going through some of the recommendations. There is nothing new that will come to the table, even if there is a task force formed today to look into this one of Utumishi. Back from Bombolulu, 1977. Recommendations are presented and they are gathering dust in the archives.
Yes.
So, for instance, one, decongest the dormitories. Have we done that? We have, in fact, doubled the capacity of every dormitory. Visit any school now at random.
We are talking about 100% transition.
Yes. So is that a solution to the recommendation? So that is where we go wrong. And then there are very many meetings that take us away from these institutions, especially as administrators.
Yes.
It is now high time, because even meetings can take place online.
Absolutely.
Let us be hands-on employees at every level of the society. The parents should be hands-on. There is no way you can nurture your children when you are away. No. Absentee parents. It doesn't matter whether it's a single or a parent is a parent. I don't want to say that the single parents are doing, there's one doing a better job than the other. No. It involves being there. And this parent that is, I don't know why I keep going back to the parent.
It is the foundation.
But this
because that is where the problem gets in.
Is trying to nurture the child. Are they sober? Not sober in the sense of taking illicit stuff, no. Sobriety of mind. Because there is a lot of stress, even concerning provision of day-to-day needs and sustenance of the family. So this pressure again is weighing parents down. But that notwithstanding, there is that quiet time as a family that you can take and say, now this time, let us sit together, that I'm looking at your eyes and I'm seeing that your eyes are red today. What happened? I can tell you. How free are the parents with their children? How free are the learners are with their teachers? The teachers are now coming up with a slogan that I don't like. Teach and go home. It's wrong. It's lazy. That is escapism. And I know where it came from. When teachers were asked not to cane. Caning, I know why many people like it, because it is instant. Inflicting pain instantly. But there are better ways, and I still go back to graduate.
Which are some of these better ways?
For instance, the engaging that you were talking about. Millicent, this is what I can see about you. I want us to talk about your hair. Tell me about your hair. The only problem with that, the numbers are too many.
Yes.
But still, again, we can have them in groups, and then they also have peer sessions. Millicent, we are looking at your hair. What do you say about your hair? Get what they say. But when you force, we were forced and we accommodated. This regime, if you force, you will wonder whether to go back and apologize and how do you begin. Because when you say, lie down, I want to whip you, and they refuse. Another thing that will not help our children is expelling them from schools. I used to share with my fellow colleagues, when you are transferring teacher A to another school because they are giving you headache, that is also another school. So this headache should be taken to another school. So even doing this with the learners is not helping them. Let's talk to them. There is something known as listening. A very basic thing, but very important. Do we listen? No. Before we listen, even as adults, do we listen to each other? Everybody wants to talk, but nobody wants to listen to the other. But once you listen, because a learner may have a very valid reason why the hair is unkempt. I'm telling you, very valid. When you listen, allows you, I understand. That is why this hair, there is something. In fact, go home and cut your hair is a very primitive way of handling
learners.
Now, go home and cut your hair. This hair can be sorted out here. If it is plaiting, there was a time a learner was brought to me because the hair was unkempt, and it was not plaited. I just took a comb and plaited, 5 minutes, done.
Go to class.
So the parent will see and say, who did your hair? If they see, those who see, because I tell you, most of our parents are not there. They woke up and left, you did not see them. They come back in the evening and sleep, you have not seen them. So what are we doing?
Dorcas, that we need to open up our school. Of course, this is an extremely delicate stretch, slippery stretch. Do we need to open up our school much more in terms of allowing parents to come probably just once a month or twice per term, but actually allowing parents to actually come so that then we can actually have this engagement with parents and students, and parents can actually pick out some of those changes, of course, together with the teachers, picking out some of those changes that are actually coming in so that then we can actually have a concerted effort in terms of mentoring our children and actually, just growing them as a school.
But that is what happens. The school cannot run while parents are away. At least once a term, parents should come. And parents...
Most of the institutions, Lucas, we see once a term, only one person, or, do we need to open it much more and say that wazazi wanaweza kuja probably every weekend or every month, something like that. So then, we can have more conversations with this.
Every weekend I think it would be too much because again, that hangover. Yes. Hangover, it's not only about
alcohol.
Now the parents came on Saturday, on Sunday. There are some whose parents may not come for whatever reason. Some just decided to block the school. I've already handed over my children to the school. Full stop. You will never see them. But it's important for engagement purposes. You inform them about their children, about the day-to-day running of the school, the challenges, and you engage with the parents. That is very important, by the way. And then keeping a child away from a parent for 3 months is also not fair. Let us just be fair and adjust to prevailing circumstances of the society. Otherwise, this is a societal issue and not necessarily institutional. If we don't all pull together, we are not heading any place. But we must go back. I'm talking like I'm concluding, but I'm not. We can still just begin and continue. But then, let us strengthen relationships.
Absolutely.
The things parents say about teachers at home. So you are there trying to explain Pythagoras' theorem, and Millicent is beckoning the other one. Even though our teachers are also to take blame for some of the things they do. Because again, a learner, depending on their relationship with the father or the mother, they will come and tell you, This is what teacher so and so. One learner told the parent, teacher so and so I think is not interested in work anymore. Today he came to class, put his legs on the table, leaned back on the chair, and asked anybody who has finished to bring the book. You see, a learner is saying that this teacher. So they also understand this one is not interested in his work
anymore.
And this was a young learner. So teachers are also to blame, but they are overwhelmed. But that does not give them reason to say teach and go home. No, do your best and let God do the rest. That is what I would tell them. It is overwhelming. If you are given 100 learners in a class, and from here you are going to another 100 in a different class, it is humanly not possible. And then there is somebody on your back pushing for results. And that brings me to results. We moved from 844 to this one, CBC. Yes.
CBE. CBC and then CBE.
Yes. So even if we move again to 7, was it 7, 4, 2, 3?
Yes.
We are still not going to solve the problem of what was I saying? This is average, the mean, the performance. Yes, that is where another big problem is. There is this teacher with so many. Marking alone is not possible. Let nobody cheat you. You also know there's no way you have completed marking 100 from another class, you go to another, and that is not possible. So there are things even the officer coming to find out whether the work is done. No, that at the ground things are not the same. They say the things are different. Are we together?
Yes.
That's true.
Milton.
Yes.
She's touched on. And social media is actually awash with teachers of these institutions from the very basic level, doing their own things. Wengine wanaongelesha watoto, just highlighting what is happening in their homes, small kids, small children, small learners, young learners actually telling teachers what is happening at home. And of course, it brings out what we are discussing. But also, even the way some of these teachers are behaving with these learners, wanakatika, wanafanya nini, even the dress code, right?
Yes.
And in some instances also, we have seen, as she has alluded to, teachers coming into class, one, they're very drunk, unkempt, and disinterested. Has this contributed to what we're actually seeing? And is there a need for a paradigm shift, and probably looking at it from another perspective, a paradigm shift on how we actually structure our learning spaces? My nephew keeps telling me all the time, Uncle, I feel like we are stuck in the old age where education is sitting in class and listening to someone for hours. Yes. Is there a need for change?
I think the change is already happening, by the way, and there is need to be more proactive and deliberately aware that it is happening, and then plugging into it constructively. Number one, we are saying that learning should be made fun and it needs to be enjoyable. And I think most of the schools are struggling. Yes, but I'm saying they're struggling because you need to be aided to make that fun. Of course, we've seen also, you talk of social media, there's this mwalimu that says, Mama, milka, So, just also trying to engage, that's a way of engaging the children and telling them that you can think outside the box, you can be creative on even how to do maths, and how to look at science, now this promotion of STEM, and so to dealing with some stereotypes and saying, it can be done differently, it's working, it can work even better. However, we also have to be cognizant of the fact that there are certain things that need to be in place. If the government does not want to put money in education to enable the teachers to have not only good classrooms, so much emphasis is put on the external infrastructure, but how about the human being? There was this good idea of even trying to have counselors within the schools, but how many of them have the skills? It's like expecting every preacher to know how to do marital counseling. They are not experts. They can read the Bible, but they do not have the technical know-how. So again, that requires money. It requires somebody to invest. It's an investment. So we need to invest in the teachers, and we need to be true. If we are saying the ratio of teacher to learners need to be considered, of course we need to do something about it. We cannot continue with pilferage in this country. We cannot continue to watch our leaders invest in non-issues like having Madaraka Day celebrations, splurging money, whereas that money, if you just took a bit of that money and put it in the education sector and say the school fees, you know, in the Uhuru time, they had worked on the school fees to bring it a little bit down. But if the money is now taken to all sorts of things, or building blocks, affordable housing, a lot of money there, but the human being that will need to work through this house and even, you know, to grow this nation is left to suffer, because the children are the leaders of today and tomorrow. If we leave this education sector to crumble, then we don't have a country. We don't have a country. Why? Because we've chosen to invest in non-issues. We are majoring on the minor and minoring on the major. I'm saying we need to put money to retrain even the teachers. You introduce CBE, CBC, you know, it's the same thing in the health sector. You take out NHIF, you bring shashishushu, and then people don't even know. It's a whole confusion. So we're saying the unrest is because things are boiling. The tension is in the house. Because parents are wondering, I'm going to hospital, SHA is not working for me. I'm going to school, there's no school. Bursary, selectively, you know. So you need to know who to be able to even be. Let us have uniformity. Let us be proactive. Let us put money where it needs to be so that this country can work for everybody, not just for the rich. And that's why I'm making this call to our leaders. Rethink how you do your things. And don't overburden one sector that it is only the teachers. No, parents, you take responsibility. I take mine. You take yours. We educate people. Let us have a country that is ruled by the law and people live according to the sense of responsibility and accountability.
In this case, this government has really tried in terms of employment of teachers. Dorcas, you'll agree. Over 100,000 teachers have actually been employed. I mean, bringing some level of improvement in that sector in terms of personnel, just having enough personnel. Of course, we will look buildings and everything. Dorcas is actually shaking her head, and I want her to actually just conclude with that topic. The government has actually done whatever it can, but of course, there's need for more in terms of ensuring that, of course, we have special departments, as she says, ones that will actually take care of mental health of students, so that then we don't find ourselves in this situation, right? Yeah, and teachers.
Even 100 teachers is a drop of water in the ocean. Yeah, if that is what you mean, that the government has tried.
Over 100,000. It's quite a figure.
No. There are schools that are suffering in terms of staffing. There are schools that are overstaffed. So whether a school is overstaffed or understaffed now is another docket. But bottom line, there is heavy understaffing. That is why the teachers are overwhelmed and demoralized. Even the learners themselves are overwhelmed and demoralized. The same is happening even at the home. Okay? Overwhelmed and demoralized. So let us find ways of balancing. Again, come back to balancing and set our priorities right. For instance, when it comes to funding, there are dockets. I hear even the body works in such a way that one organ can say, transfer this. Some cell can say, no, we are suffering here. There's democracy in the human system. We can. Our leaders are sensible enough to reason and say, let us fund this more and lower this. But when we overfund areas that are not really
important.
Yes. Oh no, every area is important, yes, but some are more. For instance, taking care of our learners is a priority that everybody should take very, very seriously. Very seriously.
Millicent, in conclusion.
Let us bring discipline from the home. Let us live and teach our children in a way that they need to understand. For every action, there is a consequence, not in a punitive manner. And also, let us stop being so legalistic, because everything, oh, ukinichapa nitakushtaki. No, let us just embrace our humanness and say it is important to have a healthy community, and the health starts with the mindset. And if we have healthy people, and indeed if we are religious as we say we are, then let us know that bad manners is bad manners and it can never be good manners. Let us be responsible citizens. Let us bring our children where they need to be, and let us stop scapegoating and blaming. The blame game is not helping us. Let each person see that they have a part to play, and let them play it effectively to the best of their ability for the good of every other person in this nation.
Great. Listen, on your note, just ending on your note, is that each and every one of us has a responsibility to play. I'm playing mine. I brought them here to discuss what they're supposed to discuss, so that then you and I can actually see where we're actually going wrong. We are expecting also that parents at home, you will ensure that you actually nurture your children to the best of your ability and not transfer that problem to the institutions. And once they get to the institutions, we're also expecting that teachers will actually play their role. But more importantly, the government will also put in resources in terms of ensuring their teachers, specialized teachers, in terms of just ensuring that they can actually handle the mental overwhelming or the mental stress that comes with the new demands of our society. But also we expect that as a whole, communities will actually continue to play their role in terms of ensuring that they understand that the child is a child of the community and not a child of an individual. My name is Achala Simon, on behalf of each and every person who has actually made this possible. Mirage Palace Hotel here in Kisumu that continue to give us this space so that then we can actually have this show every morning. Millicent and Dorcas, thank you very much for being resourceful on this show.